were dreaming of one day being those guys, and now you're in the same changing room as them.
What do you do to ensure that you always step ahead?
You know, you make the sacrifice every day, be part of a World Cup winning squad. That's what makes the sacrifice worth it.
Welcome to the smulcast, the podcast that's all about living a healthier and fuller life. I'm your host, Chris Dry, and today we truly have a special guest, a Springbok sensation, Canan Moodie. Canan, welcome.
Thank you, Chris. Honored to be here, and yeah, nice to be on Smulcast.
We're going to go through everything. We're going to go through the mental side, the nutritional side, and then off the field, which is also so important.
Yeah.
So yes, super excited to have you here. Being a professional athlete, I think everyone thinks that it's just, get on the field, 80 minutes, work hard, score, try, and then that's it. But it's an off the field game as well. And there are so many aspects of it, and nutrition, sleep, and we're going to dive into all those things. But the first one, nutrition. I know you guys are guided by very good dietitians.
Yeah.
They do their job. They're very good at what they do. But then, Canan, your side, what do you do to ensure that you've always a step ahead?
I think for me, it's obviously at the box we get dietitians that travel with us, and they obviously have a broader outlook on what you eat, when you eat it, how you take supplements, and when do you take it. But obviously when you're at your union, it's you're a bit on your own there. So, but luckily now in this season with the Bulls, we have started the thing where we have breakfast and lunch at the Bulls, so maybe they regulate a bit more on what we get in. But for me, I'm a bit still young, so the metabolism is a bit quicker. So I'm obviously very, very conscious of what I eat, but not as to a T of I have to get this, have to get that, have to do this. And so I'm very free going in how I plan my meals. I'm not yet, except in the kitchen. So still figuring that out.
I think it's so nice when you are guided in the beginning. The biggest challenge is coming home at night, and then now you have to put something together. Obviously, time. Rugby is It's a full day.
Full day, yeah, exactly. And I think that's the hardest part for me is now, having a full day. We have done all my extras, and now you get home and you just want to plunge down on the couch and just get takeaways. So I think that's obviously the easiest way to go with it. But yeah, sometimes you have to, in a match week, you have to make sure you fueled up for as much as you prepare for the game week. You have to make sure your body is fueled up and ready to take all of the strain they have to take in the week.
So I know when you're young, it feels like you can put anything in your body, but as you carry on, I remember all of a sudden falling in love with veg. Hate eating it, but falling in love with it just because I knew feeling good the next day. It was so important. Have you hit that side where you're actually seeing this type of food makes you feel better the next day?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, with I mentioned now before with the Springboks, being exposed to that side of the rugby game, But obviously at the Bulls, I wasn't so conscious about what I was eating, and now coming to the box where we are so monitored in what we eat and how we take in our supplements and stuff, and then obviously getting a bit of help from the dietitian himself, what I can do to make sure I want to gain weight, what should I do, maybe a meal plan or grocery list of what stuff I can buy to make sure I can maybe make a quick meal when I need to. So I think that's obviously helped me, and then obviously is how my recovery benefits from the nutrition side. So eating vegetables to get my heart rate variability up, or making sure those things help me get a good sleep at night.
You mentioned gain weight, but there was actually when I first met you, you were a youngster at SAS. You won't remember me. I was the old bully. But walking in there, and I looked at you. I said, "Listen, what position is he? Is he a flank or is he a lock?" I wasn't sure because I saw the size there.
Yeah, the length.
And so I think you obviously came into a system being not small, which is always a benefit. The genes have definitely helped you there.
Yeah.
But going forward, it's so crucial that you get that balance right. And looking at talking about balance, sleep is another one. We went on tour and we tried everything. And I'm a terrible sleeper. I really am. And what I did was we were given these special glasses. Now you're wearing these funny red glasses to make you help sleep. At the end of the day, it's your cell phone that was keeping you awake. But sleep is something that you guys obviously work on. What is your approach? How do you get it right?
I think for me, recently I got the device that helped me monitor that. So I've got a device I bought from overseas, and it helps regulate. So I wear it's like an armband where you wear, and then on your phone it gives you off all the
Keeps
intel.
you accountable, eh?
Yeah, exactly. So at night I would put in, so it automatically ticks when I'm going to sleep. So now say my strain was high on the weekend, so I maybe went through a 24 strain, which means I'm in a red, my body needs the recovery. Then it'll give me like an estimate on my sleep 10 hours to make sure that my body's recovered and ready to go again for the new week's training. Make sure that come Monday, like I'm green, so helping me to just keep me accountable to make sure I'm getting enough sleep in to make sure that my body is ready to go for the new week.
It's always so strange because you've got all these devices, but I'm sure when you jump into a Springbok tour and you're playing the next day, there's not much sleep happening there. I think your eyes are wide awake.
Yeah, obviously, like my initial one, my debut was in Australia, so the jet lag was, I didn't know jet lag, so I thought it's just like a hoax. So for me, I was like, what can jet lag? It can't be that bad. And then the first thing I know, at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, I'm wide awake and don't know what to do with myself. And then come training, I'm like somebody is like a zombie. So yeah, I think there obviously you have to use some of the doctor's meds to make sure you get a good night's rest.
Yeah, the energy drink starts flowing soon, and it's like you're almost trying to autocorrect as soon as you get there.
The caffeine gum, the caffeine gel, start pumping him, and that doesn't help you sleep at all.
I think sleep, especially, it helps if you've got a roommate that's in the same inclined to go to bed at a certain time.
Yeah.
I think the funny part that always happens is that the roommate's got always a standard 10 o'clock sleep until he finds a girlfriend, and the time zones is always there's always conversation.
Video calling at night or having a bath, video calling.
We had the golden rule is that the video calls had to happen outside the room. But we would always be sitting outside the door and it's like, what is he saying? Who's this person?
Trying to fish out.
Yeah, so you climb off, you had some good sleep and then training, but training is one part, but the recovery of that. And again, I think the game has changed so much where previously it was just the ice bath, and once you've jumped the ice bath, you recover.
Then you're good, yeah.
Training wise, you want to come and perform every single day so you can get the confidence, the build up to the end of the weekend where you're actually going to go perform. But the recovery part, I think technology has really found its place there. Food is, the science of food has found its place. But recovery for you, is it something that you do? Everyone has their own methods. I know a few of the guys used to wake up and jump in the pool. A few guys used to stretch for 45 minutes before every session. Is that something that you have done differently? Have you learned obviously from the older guys? The recovery is key for them. Yeah. But is it something you've looked at and said, listen, Canan, this is what I'm going to do to improve my recovery?
Yeah, well, I was lucky enough to have Morne staying there when I was at the Bulls, and obviously he played until he was 40. So I think for me, when I saw that, I knew that was obviously something I had to start from young, make sure. And I think one guy obviously looked at in that way was Tom Brady. How a guy could have such longevity in the game and dominate for so long. And I obviously thought to myself, I'm lucky enough to come in at a young age. So now I have to make sure my body is taking the strain earlier on. So now I have to make sure that when I get 30, I'm still able to feel like a 19-year-old. So I think that's one of the big things I've introduced into my daily routine is I've go to a place called Power to Health. So they are like a recovery performance business. So they obviously have quite a few machines and stuff there that you can get used to. So for me, when I go there, I jump in the oxygen chamber. So 3 times a week I'm in the oxygen chamber. They have cold tubs. They have a ozone machine, so I sauna there for like 30 minutes. They have magnesium baths. They have masseuse there. So I make use of them.
No wonder you don't have time to eat because you're in the recovery.
Exactly, and that's why I say like my day is so full, because I think for me is making sure, like I said now, to get ahead of people, you have to put those things in place. So I go out 6 in the morning, get to the gym, do some stretches, do my pre-ab, and then I hit the bike to warm up the legs, and then we start with the meetings. And then after we get done with our session, the whole day is finished. I get to Power to Health straight, go in the oxygen chamber for an hour, take a nap in there, then hit the ice bath or get a massage or whatever particular day it is. Some days might differ, and then I'm heading home, and then you hit the Normatec. So I have a Normatec at home, then I'm in that, and I watch a bit of clips, and then I have to find the wall to cook.
If there are any youngsters out there listening to this, I want you to know that recovery is not just the ice bath.
Yeah.
I think the mindset has changed, but Brian Abana came into our system. He was part of an Olympic program in 2016. And it's amazing what you said with Morne, the influence of the older players.
Yeah.
Brian came in there, and day one he came and brought like 3-4 different machines. And everyone's like, Brian, what are you doing? He says, no, you invest in yourself.
Yeah.
It was like, how far does this investment go?
Yeah.
And he's, at the end of the day, he said, listen, every year that he can stay on the field, you know, so if you work it out, what is another machine?
Yeah, exactly, so, for what you can make of it.
You would buy anything that said recovery. If you had to put a glass of water and you put recovery in it, you'd invest in it.
And then that's why I feel very fortunate enough to be working with a company like Power to Health, with gives me that freedom to do and obviously look after me. So I do my thing on the field, and then off the field they try and contribute to make sure I'm at the best I can be.
I think we should make that a slogan. We should put it on their banner and you'll do the rest.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're diving into the whole aspect of rugby, but I think the biggest one is pressure. It's the one that's hard to describe and difficult once you're in a situation, because you can train under highboard, Loftus, with Mono Stain kicking, coming down with us. But you find yourself on a field in Australia and that first high ball comes down, that pressure is different. How did you find that first pressure moment? You were fortunate, young, part of the junior box. Yeah. So you got exposed a little bit to that, being at the Bulls. But going to test match level is something else. What gets your mind at ease, that first pressure moment?
Yeah, obviously it's scary, coming as a 19-year-old now on the biggest stage of rugby, playing at the international test, 80,000 people in the stands, millions watching back home, and you're representing your country. So obviously it's daunting for any guy, doesn't mean what age you are, but now I'm basically like a teen still going out there. So I think for me, the biggest thing handling pressure is being ready for it. I mean, preparing well the whole week. I think that's where, like I said, with my whole routine, that's how I get confidence to go out there on a Saturday and do what I do. Because the whole week I know I'm preparing my body, I'm preparing my mind, I'm preparing everything to make sure come Saturday that I'm ready for whatever comes my way.
You get these moments where nothing goes to plan. the first ball you knock. We had a saying that we always had to get back to zero.
Yeah.
Meaning that we could be 14 points ahead against the All Blacks, and you can't be overconfident because that wave is coming. Or you can be 14 points down.
Oh, and then you have to pick it up.
And always getting back to zero. So it's something that, for me, I live by, is just come back to zero. But it's so difficult. Example, I lost a line out in a final in Cape Town Stadium. We only play there once a year. You don't want to mess it up. And happened to have another line out, and we got it wrong. And there's still 5 minutes left to the game. How do you deal with that? What gets you back to your zero? What gets you back to, okay, next job I'm going to go perform?
Well, obviously it's very difficult because you don't want to make mistakes on the big scene, big arena. So I think for me, obviously I learned that quick in my first test. Well, obviously the Boks were at that time, we were kicking a lot of balls, so as a winger it was my job to go get them, and after a few I didn't get them, so I was obviously stressing myself out, go get it. And I think in test match rugby especially, you have to have a memory of a goldfish. The games are so intense and the margins are so small that you can't dwell on one thing too long. You have to make sure you get your head clean and focus on the next job. So I think that's the biggest thing, where you make that switch from say domestic rugby to international rugby, where the margins are so small, you have to be switched on the whole time, so you can't dwell on anything.
Does it help having someone like a Willie Leroux, after you made a mistake, coming and giving you a high five and saying, don't worry about it? And he's so confident when he says it.
Yeah, I think that's like you said now, it's like the whole team, the backing of everyone. I mean, as a 19-year-old, you're trying to prove something, and now it's just the guys are telling you, if you weren't good enough, you wouldn't have been here. So that gives you a lot of confidence where someone comes up like, say, Willie, who's played 94 tests up until now, so has seen everything. Gives you a lot of confidence to just don't dwell on the mistake and just go there and help prove them right.
Yeah. So stress and pressure is another thing that you always find yourself, trying to manage. But there are some, like we said, rugby is so scary on the field because it's like there's pressure and there's so many unknowns. But you walk into your first meeting with the Springboks. I can only imagine a 19-year-old you stress because you've got these big characters. You've got Dwayne Vermeulen, you've got the Villies, Jesse Creel's there, you've got Bongi, Strong Isia.
Yeah.
These strong leaders that have been doing this
for a very long time.
For a long time, and you're sitting right next to it, and they listen. You have to do the exact same. We're expecting the same.
Same, yeah.
You're playing under the same banner. You've got a Springbok on your chest now.
Yeah, so
stressful.
So funny enough, you know, when I was grade 11, they won the World Cup in 2019. So you can think a schoolboy, you know, playing rugby. Those are the guys you were looking up to. You know, you were dreaming of one day being those guys. And now, fast forward 2-3 years, you're in the same change room as them. You know, teammates with them. So very scary. I mean, I remember still the first day. Well, when I got my call up, they were in Joburg. So I was in Pretoria having pre-season, and I obviously got the call, and you know, I was packing my bags ready to go, and I was nervous all right there to Joburg, because I mean, like, what do I say to these guys? What do I do? And then I got lucky enough, got put in a room with Herschel, so he obviously made me feel a bit more comfortable introducing the guys, and I wasn't saying too much. I was like just like keeping to myself. But then all of them came to me and like, if you need help with anything, just tell us, you know. So I mean, that obviously gives you a lot of confidence when like Andre Pollard or Sia comes to you and tells you to, you know, just be yourself, and yeah, if you weren't good enough, you wouldn't be here.
So is that part of the culture that, you know, the teams that you are in, is that part of the culture that's brewed? Is that, you know, it's not about you, it's not about the individual, it's about how can we get all these many individuals in the same bus, and whether he's in the same position as me, I'm going to give him all the info,
yeah.
So let him take my place if he's good enough.
Yeah.
Is that the culture that is brewing within that system?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we saw it now in the World Cup. I think that was our biggest thing for us now going into this World Cup was, you know, doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, you know, we just align together for a bigger purpose, and that was to make South Africa proud, you know. So we obviously, Coach Rassie always obviously said, you know, doesn't matter if you like the guy or you don't like him, he can do the job and he'll do the job for South Africa. So it doesn't matter what you have against him, just for the team's sake and the whole of South Africa, you know, live with it. You know, it's just going to be for a few months, but put that all aside for the bigger goal, and that was to obviously win the World Cup and make South Africa proud. So I think it's a big thing in our culture as the Springboks, and obviously at the Bulls where we aligned for a bigger goal.
Throughout my career, I always had a springboard. I always used to phone my dad. He was my best and my worst critic. You know, he played junior rugby, but I don't think it was someone who watched more games than him. He would remind me of things that happened in games that I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
Who's your springboard? Who do you try and, you know, give off this pressure and say, listen, I'm not sure, like maybe I'm not confident in where I'm at, or, you know, who's that person to you?
I think my brother is that guy. Obviously we have quite a good relationship, so he obviously watches my games attentively. So, you know, things I wouldn't normally like to hear, he'll point out. So yeah, I think for him, I can ask him, maybe it's like, do I need to work on that? Do I have to do that? Or what I should have done here? Obviously, he didn't play rugby at that level, but obviously just having another perspective in how I can maybe change something I did in the game, or how I can better myself in that.
It's always the ones that are closest to you that, you know,
sometimes raw. You hear the most.
You could have just said it in a nicer way.
Yeah, but yeah, sometimes you need that.
So what makes you stress?
I think there's not much. I think I'm a very easygoing guy, so I don't like to put pressure on myself. But, you know, there's sometimes, you know, things that, external factors that, you know, put pressure on yourself. And I think one thing for me as a young guy, you know, going from a Boland 350 boys all in the hostel, you know, small school, not really being known, to now, fast forward 4 years, you know, being a World Cup winner in a Springbok, now you suddenly thrown into the spotlight. So I think being able to deal with that pressure, you know, the expectation of people, and I think, yeah, that's a bit, I stress with that, and yeah, but I think I've learned to know how to handle it, you know, as I'm growing older, you know how to handle it better, and, you know, make sure that I don't put myself too much out there, and just be myself whenever I can be.
Do you feel you've grown up quickly?
Yeah, obviously I had to. I think from, like I said now, from being a 19-year-old, getting thrown into the big stage, and now, you know, fast forward a few years later, making adult decisions, you know, stuff that I don't like doing, like the admin and all those things. Now I suddenly have to, you know, make time for all those things, and, you know, not the greatest on my phone either. So now I have to make sure I message people, I answer when I have to. So yeah, I think a lot has changed in my life, you know, but I'm obviously very grateful for it. But yeah, it's always a learning curve as I grow older.
So Canan, we spoke about, the sacrifices and what it actually takes, but there are so many things that people don't know about. I think that the difficult part is, the weddings. I've missed countless weddings, funerals, moving house, taking yourself out of your environment, which was home, and now creating a new home, comes at a sacrifice. You're leaving family behind. Is it something that in the beginning was very difficult, or did you adapt well? Or how did you deal with that sacrifice? Because it's a continuous thing.
Yeah, sacrifice is part of it. That's the price you pay for greatness. I guess. So yeah, sacrifice is tough. Like you mentioned now, like missing funerals, missing weddings, missing birthday parties, missing the a whole lot when you see your friends here back home having fun and doing all these things, going out for birthdays and all this stuff, and then you're back home sitting there and just have a bit of you want to be there. But I think for me, once you know what you're working towards and what you sacrifice are for, I think it's easy. You make the sacrifice every day. If I get to shine on the field or be part of a World Cup winning squad, at the end of the day, that's what makes the sacrifice worth it. So it's obviously very tough, moving away from home, not being able to see your family as much as you want to. But like I said, if the end goal is worth it, the sacrifices are all worth it.
I think, the sacrifice is, firstly, is always going to be family. For me, it was. But the other part was, your mates are, half of them probably students, going through to festivals. They're going to, all these events. They going to a Cape Town 7 stadium. They're having a party. You're sitting there with your water and focusing on next week. And there are so many other aspects of it, but is it come down to the sacrifice, the discipline thing more than anything else? Yeah,
definitely think discipline is what's the most important thing. Obviously if you're at my age, everyone's having a student life. Like you said now, everyone's having a job, going out. I have no responsibilities, and I have to make sure I focus on a game or weekend. I sure make my body is in good shape, so I can't go out drinking or in a week or just staying out late. I have to make sure I have to sleep at this time because I have to wake up at this time. So obviously very disciplined, but the sacrifice is also part of it. It's very tough, but so like I said now, like all my friends are having a student life and I'm missing out on that. So it's obviously very tough, but like I said, if the sacrifices are all worth it when you get to achieve all these things. So I've begun to live with it, but also now finding a balance on how I can maybe find a gap to where I can enjoy myself as well. Not just being so strict and focused on performing at all times. Maybe when we have an off weekend or might fly back home, come to Cape Town and have some fun with my friends and go back, and then when I'm back in Pretoria, it's all going for full focus mode and get ready for the game week.
What is your biggest sacrifice?
I think, like you said, now family. All the things you miss out, the funerals, the weddings, obviously not being here for big events like, say, birthday parties, not being able to see your family as much as you want to. That's obviously tough. And like I said, I'm the only one in Pretoria, so all of them are here in Cape Town. So I'm reminded of that a lot. But, like I said, it's all worth the sacrifice when you get to come home and, you make them proud and they are proud of you when you come home. And so, I think that makes it all worth it.
So they Zoom and FaceTime you in all the events, I'm sure.
So that's the thing, obviously you try to make your presence felt, if you can say that, Mother's Day, Father's Day, you try to send a gift and give a phone call. But I think it never fully it's never the same. But when you get a chance to go home, you try to make up for that.
I think it makes it all worth it, eh?
Exactly. So like I said, if you as a person can make that sacrifice is worth it for the life you live, and make them proud when you get back home, and I think it's all worth it.
We're on the topic of sacrifice, and your family is, like you've mentioned, is close. Your brother, he's with you all the way. He's supporting you left, right, and centre. He's by your side. He's your. I'm sure if he could be on the field, he'd probably be there just to support you.
Like I don't know if you saw a video when we were in COVID, when we were in lockdown. So where he helped me with a little simple drill I was doing, and I think that just gives out our relationship together. He's with me now in Pretoria, helping me with my injury. So he's like half my left hand now. So yeah, you know, somebody that you can relate to, somebody that gives you a bit of home, so it makes you feel a bit more comfortable. And yeah, I think that goes a long way in your mental sanity as well. So yeah, my brother was where I saw sacrifices for the first time, you know, someone that worked hard, you know, had to walk to training, you know, I had to find a way where there was obviously, where it didn't seem to be a way, you know, I had to figure it out for himself. So I think that's where I learned a lot from him, you know. So I think me and my brother are very close with that, you know. He's obviously a helping force in making sure I get my body right, you know. Mentally, I'm in a good space, so wherever I need someone to talk to, he's there. And yeah, it pushes me a bit more than normal people would.
You're currently nurturing an injury, and I'm sure in your head, you, as a rugby player, you just want to get back as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And then there's always the famous trust the process, trust the process. But I don't think people always realize that the process is not necessarily only the getting physically fit.
Yeah.
It's getting that confidence, and the only way you can get the confidence is through being on the field and playing
yeah.
And you know, doing things well. Is that something that sits in your head that, you know, I want to get on the field as soon as possible?
Yeah, obviously, like the one I had now, like obviously it was bad timing for me, you know, we were going into playoffs, you know, with the international season on the brink as well. Obviously, I was very gutted to hear that I have to sit out for a finger, you know, and I was like a silly old finger, like obviously that's the silver lining. It's not a knee, it's not a shoulder, something that might have kept me out longer. But yeah, as you know, as a rugby player, you don't want to miss out on anything, you know, as much as you want to play, you want to do that at all the times, doesn't matter how you feel. So yeah, it was very tough, you know. I've been fortunate enough to not have like serious long injuries. I've always had like, I think the longest I've been 6 weeks. So for me, it was just about realigning and resetting my goals and making sure like this 6 weeks I can be the best I can be when I get out of this, you know, whatever happened to me. So after the injury, I can be the best version of myself again. So I see it as that, you know, opportunity to grow and be fitter physically, mentally, and when I get a chance to get to play again, I can go 100% again.
Yeah, so when you're injured, it feels like you're almost sometimes like on the side of the team. You're not necessarily in it because you know, when you're preparing, and I know, you know, locally you guys got a massive game coming up, and you know, you're almost on the outskirts, and like it could be sometimes a lonely place.
Yeah,
it's a tough place to be in, where you have to now buy in the whole team structure.
Yeah,
but at the moment you're almost on the side. Is it something that, you know, the team is and possibly the senior guys are very good at? Is it including everyone in that squad and not necessarily the guys who are focused on for this next period of time?
Yeah, because you know, like say this weekend, it's a final, sold out crowd. I mean, that's why you play rugby. This is the moments as a little boy you dream of. So obviously it's tough, you know, not being able to be part of it. But that's where, like I say, I've grown a lot, and I had to grow up quick. Is where, like, I've been in this, like say in the World Cup, where guys that weren't playing, they supported the guys and made them prepare well for the week, so that on weekends when they're playing, they would be like they've seen this picture before and be prepared for it. So now I think that's the role I have to play now, is making sure like I analyze the opposition and help the guys with, say if I've played against him, you know, I can help the guys say like this is what he does or this is how he do. So I think that has grown for me a lot, where I can now take up that role for not being like jealous or wanting to be in that position. So now just helping and contributing wherever I can.
You're finding yourself as a 21-year-old being a senior player, being a leader, a mentor to the next youngster. But that's what makes a good team function, is that everyone is doing their part and everyone is working towards the same goal. Canan, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for your openness and your honesty, you know, diving in of what it actually takes, because I think everyone's got this idea that it's just a game, but it's actually so much more in terms of adjusting your lifestyle to play the game that you love. So thank you for joining us on the smulcast. I hope to see you soon. And yes, thank you once again just for, you know, giving us all the raw Canan.
Thank you, Chris.
Until next time, thank you.